Hello, everyone. This is Industry Pop SA, and I am your co-host, Brandon, aka Sichuan Papí, and this is the amazing.
Chef Kristina Zhao coming at you.
All right, here in San Antonio, Texas, where Industry Pop, we talk about all things culture, all things interesting convos. Sometimes we'll have guests on, special guests. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is buzzing in the community, the Michelin Guide here in Texas and San Antonio, and what that means. What is the Michelin Guide? We're going to go through a brief history, go through their scoring, who's won a Michelin star already, and how did they get here? Why weren't they in Texas before? And I think you'll find it fairly interesting because we have this amazing guide that may bring people, tourists, to our local restaurants, independent operators. So, Christina, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great, doing great. Today's Sunday, and typically on Sundays, I like to go out, get some sun, maybe some mimosas, some beverages, check the place, check places out throughout San Antonio.
You're destroying the image that people think you work all the time, Brandon.
Well, actually, I did work all day, so it was like I woke up and it was just work.
I see.
So I put on these cool pants, right? These are my Sunday pants, right?
Let's see them.
Right?
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty hip. That's what I thought. I got these pants back in like 2016. Those were some different days, 8 years
Does that make
ago.
it vintage?
It's becoming that. Yeah, they're becoming vintage. Actually, I am becoming vintage as well. So, but they still fit. I think that's a win, if nothing else. They still fit, and you know what? They're pretty cool. So I like to wear some cool clothes on Sunday. It's a good vibe. Sunday's always a good vibe. But nonetheless, we worked all day. But this is not work. This is actually something that we get to do that's really fun. We get to interact with different topics and our guests. So without further ado, would you like, well, how is your day? It looks like you're dressed for winter today.
Are we really going there?
Well, to be honest, it is winter everywhere else in the United States, maybe not here in
Easily.
Central Texas.
I get cold easily. I think it's really cold in this room too. So
Yeah, Dashi, it's like it's a challenge to keep it cool for 6 to 7 months out of the year, and then like when it starts to get cool outside, then it's
it's the
completely
best time of
freezing.
the year right now.
It's
It's
freezing in here though.
wonderful outside.
Yeah, modulating a restaurant's HVAC system and the temperature inside is, well, it's like shooting a moving target, but
Hmm.
nonetheless, well, good. I'm glad you're having a great day. So we're gonna jump right into the Michelin Guide. So what spurred this was I was thinking about the Michelin Guide, but there was a post today by one of our chef friends regarding the Michelin stars, the Michelin Guide in San Antonio. And I saw it in the morning, and then in like an hour, there was like 25 different comments. Everyone had an opinion. And so I think it's something that we can go into and just say, well, why is this such a divisive thing? Because it actually really is. But before we do that, I'm going to give you a brief history into the Michelin Guide. So if you don't know this little guy right here, let me see. There he is, right there. The Michelin guy.
It's a tire guy. It's a
It's
tire
a
guy.
it's a tire company. Yeah, he's made out of tires, evidently rubber tires, and it's a French tire company dating back to the mid early 1800s, and so there were two brothers, and the to promote their tire company, right? They were a rubber company for like electronics and such, and then they moved into making rubber tires. And so to promote that industry, they decided to come out with a guide, right? That they distributed throughout France. Their wholesalers, the retail side of it. So people come in, buy a tire for their vehicles. There weren't that many vehicles around France in 1889. I think there was only like 3,000. But nonetheless, people would go in and then they would see different places to stay, hotels, there was maps, restaurants, and then that
You
would
did other things other than restaurants and hotels, right? Or It was a comprehensive travel guide
Maybe
in that
petrol
way.
stations,
Ah, okay.
petrol
Like a
stations.
map through Europe.
Absolutely. So it was promoting travel. And great idea. They were giving it away for free. And then one of the Michelin brothers walks into one of their someone who's buying retail from them and sees that they're using it to prop up something. So he started charging for it. And then they started looking at the popularity of it. One of the aspects of it was the restaurants, right? The Michelin restaurants. And so what they did was they wanted to kind of scale that more. So they got secret shoppers essentially to go
Mm,
out to these restaurants, and then they would essentially put those restaurants in the guide based off of the reviews. That practice still exists today. And
what are the criteria?
so the criteria are, well, let's just go through the stars. All right. We have to have excellent food. All right. That is, I think, that's the top criteria. You have to have excellent food. But to receive a star, so 1 star means that the restaurant has high quality cooking and is worth a stop.
Mm,
Right. So you're driving in your car, right? It's like, hey, that place is worth a stop. So you hit the brakes, turn the car off, right? Well, you put it in park, turn the car off, right?
mm-hmm.
Get out of your vehicle that has the Michelin tires, go in, enjoy a great meal, right? So that is the 1 star.
Okay.
2 stars, that means excellent cooking that is worth a detour, right? So not on your like regular day-to-day routes. It's like I'm gonna go out of my way across the city to go to this spot. So it's worth a detour. And then 3 stars means that the restaurant is exceptional, has exceptional cuisine, and it's worth a special journey,
I see.
right? So a special journey, like, going on a date, right? A hot date, that would be a special journey. Oh, maybe a flight across, maybe to Paris. That sounds very special. Or to New York. Who knows? Maybe even to
Oh,
Buffalo, New
do
York.
they
I
have
don't,
Buffalo?
I don't know.
I see.
But if there were a 3 star Michelin restaurant in Buffalo, that would be a special journey. Nonetheless, so those are the criteria. And then those that don't actually get a star they can also be in the guide as a place to just
It's
to
like
go.
honorable mentions too.
Honorable mention, yeah, right. So so this whole ranking system came about in like the mid 1930s, and if you think about, well, that's like nestled into between 2 world wars, so of course they're going to go with the like a the stars. It's like, all right,
Mhm.
you have the 1 star, 2 star, 3 star generals, like, and who doesn't love a gold star?
Sure.
It's like the perpetuation of humanity, right? It's like even today, you're a little kid, you score a 95 on a test and they give you a gold star. Well, that's how it is for the restaurants, right?
I didn't get gold stars for 95s.
Well, yeah, I mean, you need to be,
I was asked where the other 5 points went.
you have to be very exceptional. Yes, you're right. So, so beyond that, so now if you look at today, the Michelin stars all over the world, and it's over 30 different territories, I guess you would say, across 3 continents. More than 30 million Michelin guides have been sold worldwide.
Mm.
So they're bigger than like the Rolling Stones. No, I think the Rolling Stones have sold more albums than that, but
I've never seen a Michelin guide. I know there's an app.
it's a little red book. It's a
Oh,
little red book. Yeah, I
oh,
don't
the little red app.
the little red app, the little red
Mm,
Michelin
I
app.
see.
So if you see a little red book somewhere, like at a restaurant,
Can you see? No, not really. Oh, mm-mm.
we're gonna pull it out in the app.
No, I can't really see it.
Well, the app is it's red, right? And so check that out if you're ever traveling. But now it's in our backyard, meaning Texas, meaning Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. And so let's get into uh what that means. Now, before we do that, the Michelin, if you type in Michelin guide and in a search, you'll find that there's some controversy around that. It's not just like with anything that tends to be a gatekeeper to quality, or tends to speak for a community. Uh, there's maybe politics involved, right? Or different perspectives. Maybe some chefs think that they deserve it, or maybe some chefs don't want it. So I wanted to read. I did I did a search, and the search was Michelin Guide controversy.
Oh, what did you
Yeah,
find?
yeah, controversy. Okay.
Controversy.
And so I'm going to read to you some of these headlines, and you can type it in yourself, and you'll find them. Some juicy stuff, really. So the first one that came up was, "What's wrong with the Michelin Guide?" Financial Times.
What did they say?
I don't. I just
Oh,
looked
you
at.
have
I'm
it
just looking at the
there.
title. All
Okay.
right, and uh, and so yeah. So what's wrong with the Michelin Guide? I don't know, but I'm sure we'll find out. So that's a Financial Times article. Here's another one. What's wrong with the Michelin Guide? Everything, says A. Gill. So I guess he's some type of authority or you know. And so he says everything's wrong with it.
Hmm.
Here's another one. Famed chef's restaurant loses 3-star rating.
It's
BBC.
a lot of pressure there.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of pressure there, which is why there's a headline by the BBC. The Untold Truth of the Michelin Guide by Mashed. What is the untold truth? Uh, this is getting kind of juicy here. It's kind of like unsolved mysteries. Maybe you could do a TV show for the Michelin Guide, Unsolved Michelin Guide truths or mysteries. I don't know.
I'm sure they've made some movies about that.
Yeah, well, there's potentially a pitch there, and if anyone wants to work on that with me, we can pitch it to the Food Network. There
Okay.
might be something there. All right, here's one. A sustainability scandal is taking the shine off Michelin stars. you know? So, of course, like this one caught my eye because of the keyword here, right? The buzzword
Sustainability.
sustainability.
What does
Now,
that mean?
what does sustainability mean? If you saw my last podcast, I kind of went on a soapbox, really questioning what sustainability is for an independent restaurant owner, operator. What is sustainability? It means something different to everyone. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. We're going down the sustainability rabbit hole. Uh,
I mean,
here,
there's just a lot of categories to think about when you're talking about sustainability. I mean, not just the sourcing of your ingredients, but your overall processes and how much waste you have, the productivity levels. There's sustainability in so many different departments, if you will, when it comes to running a business operation.
absolutely, absolutely. So we'll get into sustainability later. I could talk to you for hours about sustainability.
Oh, Lord.
Maybe that's not sustainable, not for this podcast, but let's jump into another headline. We're almost done with these. Cheese souffle at heart of trial over French chef's lost Michelin star. So they're getting litigious over a cheese souffle.
Hope Chef Mike was not involved.
My gosh, I don't know. Yeah, Chef Mike, if you're out there, if you know, you know, guys. Chef Mike, he always gets us out of a pinch. Last one here. Controversial Michelin guide comes to Canada.
Mm.
CBC. Okay. And I guess you can almost like imagine, like the Michelin guide like tearing across the land as like a wildfire, like an imperialistic wildfire, and Canada's like, oh my God, the Michelin guide is coming. The Michelin guide is coming. All
The
right.
tire
See,
guy.
the headlines are very, they elicit emotional response. They're like clickbait over the Michelin guide. So, being that now Texas has the Michelin Guide and San Antonio does as well, I'm sure we will have our own headlines regarding it. But where does the Michelin Guide fit in Texas and San Antonio? Well, there's 5 cities, like I said: Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and actually Fort Worth as well. And they've expanded their hotel guide into Texas. And so I wanted to quote the Texas Restaurant Association just to see their sentiments on the guide being here. And so we have a quote from here, the CEO of the Texas Restaurant Association, Emily Williams. The Texas Restaurant Association is pleased to welcome the Michelin Guide to Texas, a culinary destination that's already earned a worldwide reputation for delicious, diverse cuisine and warm hospitality. All right, so that's pretty pretty good. That's a great statement. Hey, Texas The TRA welcomes you with open arms. We look forward to working with the Michelin Guide to drive new visitors and acclaim to Texas, creating new and repeat customers that will benefit the entire industry and the state of Texas as a whole. Well, as you know, Texas Restaurant Association, the TRA, they lobby for the benefit of independent operators, large operators, just the restaurant industry in Texas as a whole. So they have good sentiments, and I think that's a great way to start. You want to start a partnership with anyone really in good faith. So moving on, uh, there there's another quote I've got here, and it's from the internal director of the Michelin Guide. So how do they feel about being in Texas? We have Gwendol Pulinek, and they explain that Texas culinary scene has proven to be an exhilarating one with multicultural influences, homegrown ingredients, and talent that is rich in ambition. Okay,
Hmm.
it embodies travel enthusiasts alike will find something to enjoy with such a broad dining scene spanning from farm to table dishes, fusion cuisine, upscale dining, and the famous Texas style barbecue. Texas is a perfect fit for the Michelin Guide based on the experiences of our anonymous inspectors.
Ooh.
Did you catch that there at the end?
Inspectors?
Yeah.
Anonymous.
So let's go over that again. Based on the experiences of our anonymous inspectors. So they're agents, right? They're secret agents.
They're
Are
here.
already, they're here.
They've been here.
They're here.
Oh.
All right. It's almost like a sci-fi film. It's like the Michelin Guide has like orbit, sitting there over Texas, kind of like Independence Day, and then these little agents go running around, and we don't even know about them. There's a movie kind of like that, where they have the sunglasses, and then you put them on, and you see, I think it's called Among Us, something like that. Anyway, very off topic. However, these agents are now out and about, in Texas, right? So they could be in your restaurant if you're an independent restaurant owner here in San Antonio. So,
So what are they looking for? Good food, of course, as the primary criteria.
right, right. So they're looking for great food. And in reading about different chef experiences, also they think that, and why this is a challenge uh, in the Michelin Guide is because not just the food, but also like the ambiance, the menu, the whole experience, right? 360 degrees. But that's not really what the Michelin Guide is saying in terms of their star ranking. However, that is definitely a part, uh, most likely for these anonymous agents going out. And it certainly doesn't hurt. Like you can have great food, and there's places in San Antonio, the ambiance may not be that great, but the food is stellar. And of course, like that's wonderful too. But I definitely like to have great ambiance, and it gives different,
Maybe that's the difference between a an honorable mention and an actual star.
perhaps. So moving on. So how did this partnership with the Michelin Guide and Texas come to be? And so I was looking at their track record with other cities.
So it's a play to pay to play situation.
Yeah, so from what I've learned is that so local tourism boards
Hmm.
pay for the Michelin Guide to be in their city or their region, right? Typically, depending, I mean, there's some cities that have their own, but it's typically regional. So, for example, Texas would be a Michelin Guide region, and so there's some type of payment within the Michelin Guide to then promote that region, uh, to get to be in the guide, and that also helps pay for inspectors, and so, but not every big city out there actually will do this. For example, Texas is just getting started, but I also read that Boston, a
Does
fairly
not
large city,
subscribe to it.
does not have the Michelin Guide. So there is some type of transaction that happens that kind of greases the skid for the relationship, right? Now, I think some people would say that they may look at that and say, well, is that, really highlighting some of the best talent out there? And so that's up for debate. right? It's their organization. They founded it, I mean, almost 200 years ago, right? So I guess they can do what they want with it. If that's their business model, I'm sure it can be debated whether that is good or bad.
It's also a very niche club, if you will. I mean, I wonder how many average folks, who do enjoy fantastic food even know what the Michelin Guide is.
Yeah, that's a good question. But when we traveled recently, we were definitely looking
We look
at
at it, but we're in the industry, so it's something that we naturally pay attention to.
absolutely. Yeah. So I don't know. What is their reach? Uh, and
And definitely, I think amongst your well-traveled folks, they probably are more aware of those things. But like, let's say the general population of San Antonio, does having a Michelin star ranking encourage people to really go to that restaurant more as a local?
it's a great question. So I have a quote here from Visit San Antonio CEO Mark Anderson, good friend of ours. Hi, Mark, if you're out there and you see this, great job. We love you. Now, this is what Mark Anderson says. He goes that 71% of travelers would increase their spending if a Michelin Guide selection existed in the city, right? So from his perspective,
So from a tourism point of view, it's definitely helpful, and it can help to put some spotlight on some of the amazing places in the city.
yep, yeah. Now, so what did Texas pay? Like collectively, what did all of the organizations pay to actually get the Michelin Guide to Texas? So according to the Business Journal's math, $2.7 million by those different five cities that I mentioned. 2.7 million to get the Michelin Guide here. So you have to say that.
1.35.
So you have to say that. All right. Well,
Oh, for three
how is
years.
that going to offset an additional revenue from tourism, right? I hope it does, right? But it also puts Texas on the map in a different way. And if you're in marketing, right? So let's say Visit San Antonio is the marketing arm, and the very simplistic explanation. Visit San Antonio is the marketing arm of San Antonio, Texas, right? And you're looking for different lead generation and different ways to interact with audiences to bring them in, the Michelin Guide, I think, is a wonderful idea. And the fact that Texas collectively, between all the different cities and their marketing arms, came together to make this manifest this is, I think, great for the city and great for the state. Now, does it justify the cost? Does that mean charging for something like this is right? That can be debated.
Mhm. I think another perspective to think about is, in the culinary world, earning a Michelin star is a very prestigious distinction. And so having the ability to earn that, whereas before it did not exist here, but now you have the potential to earn that, does that push people to higher limits of their ability? And
Right.
does it influence them to want to put a little bit more into, it's kind of raising the bar for everybody collectively across the board?
Well, I think once we start seeing these Michelin stars pop up on the restaurant side, I think you'll definitely see people's game step up, especially when they see like maybe they didn't get one and made their contemporary did, you know, stepping up your game. Now it's
Have you dined at a Michelin star restaurant before?
I have actually actually through Visit San Antonio, Dashi and Sichuan House
Uh-huh.
in Washington, D.C., we collaborated with Rose's Luxury. And that was a wonderful program. And I can see why they have Michelin stars for sure. It was great for our chefs to see. And so I think it definitely steps up people's game. I really think so. Now, uh, so just going through some numbers here, what did everyone pay, right? So we know Texas collectively paid $2.7 million. But San Antonio, we're paying $90,000 per year for 3 years. So that's $270,000 Fort Worth the same, Dallas the same, Houston the same. So each marketing arm had the an equal part to contribute. Now, so that's where we're at by the numbers. So, who has won in San Antonio so far? Who has earned, I should say, not won, who has earned a
Some
Michelin star?
honors.
Yeah, some honors here
As
in
in the
the
block.
city. Now, in San Antonio, we have our first Michelin Guide honor, which is Hotel Emma at the Pearl. And it was awarded 2 Michelin keys, which are the equivalent to stars, but on the hotel side. And there was, I believe, 17 other hotels in Texas that won,
Received this
yeah,
honor.
yeah, received the Michelin keys. And that's awesome. We all know if you're in San Antonio that Hotel Emma
It's wonderful.
is wonderful. Sternworth is great. Actually, that was where we had our
First
first
date.
date, is at Sternworth.
That's right.
Now, very interesting because those who know us, I'll give you a little insight here. So first we met, we got coffee, right? Then we went to Sternworth, and I was in a phase of like sparkling, bubbly, right? And she was in, well, she got a whiskey, right? And I got sparkling. So she was like, "Well, you're light and fruity." And I go, "Well, what did I say? You're stiff and boozy,
Something like that.
something like that." But so we have history there, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place. I think in what is it? TripAdvisor, they were one of the top, if not the top luxury hotel in the United States. So definitely earned. And if you haven't been, or if you haven't been in a while, I would say check Hotel Emma out. Of course, the whole Pearl compound. That's what really it is, right? The estate, the Pearl Estate.
The
Some
state.
great restaurants there. And well, now, so that's who's won. They have not released who has won, or if any have won a
Distinction.
distinction for
Restaurant.
restaurants yet. Now, there was this post which has prompted us to talk about this today, and and it was basically the to summarize this person's post, they uh, they understand the appreciation and enthusiasm for the Michelin stars, but there's the organization's reputation in Europe has come under scrutiny because the standard of culinary excellence in the Michelin Guide may have faced criticism, biases, outdated criteria, um, immense pressure on the chefs.
I do wonder about the criteria because you have so many different types of cuisines and which are reflective of different cultures and the entire eating experience is different. And so your anonymous inspectors, what is their background and understanding of food and the experience of the food? I mean, what you expect in a French bistro are going to be very different than if you go to a Chinese restaurant where things are served
Yeah.
in a different style.
Who are these people? Who do they think they
My
are?
God.
MI6, CIA.
CIA, yes.
The other one, the other one. No, I mean, that's a good question, right? What are their credentials, right? Is there like a vault with the different
Their
files
extensive
on these
training. I
extensive
mean,
training,
what
right?
if their palate is different? What if they don't like spicy food and they come to Dashi and every like they order something spicy? We're not getting any type of recognition.
Well, you know, you would hope that they have a broad spectrum on their palate, but can you imagine like there's like a training complex for Michelin Guide secret agents.
I hope they're not gluten
You know, it's
intolerant
like
and
one's
lactose
one's
intolerant.
laying on
And
nails with a ice cube, and someone's like, "Yeah."
I mean, is there a sign up sheet for that? I wouldn't be an anonymous inspector. Just go to
Yeah.
all these amazing restaurants and decide if they deserve a star or not.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what the tell is. There's probably a tell because what if there's like two who sit down at the
Oh,
same one, and they like see each other from across the room? It's like I'll bet there's like a lapel.
no, that's too obvious.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I hope that clears some things up regarding the Michelin Guide in San Antonio. Industry pop, we take on subjects like this. Uh, previous episodes were more of a long format. We do like to have guests and have fun. I broke down last week a future forecasting for the restaurant community up until 2030, put out by the National Restaurant Association. And it's good to talk about these things because it gives us context in our own community. It gets us aware of what's going on, and it's always good to have good conversation with good people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So check us out again. We are Industry Pop Essay. I am Brandon, aka Sichuan Papí, and this is
Kristina Zhao.
all right,
Nice
y'all.
to see y'all.
We will see you next time, next week. Check us out, Industry Pop Essay. Bye, San Antonio.